And now, an ad from Dad.
All right, save money on car insurance when you bundle home and auto with Progressive. Can I take these off? All right. What is this? This looks good. Wow, that's well made. Where did you get this? I'm talking to you with the hair. Yeah, where did you get this? It's good stuff. That's solid. That's not veneer, that's solid stuff.
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home and auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Blog Talk Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, leave it in the ring.
And welcome back to another edition of Leave It in the Ring Radio. I'm your host, Dave Duenez, with my co-host, Mr. Gabriel Montoya. Another Monday, another Leave It in the Ring. If you want to call in, certainly can, 347-215-7598. A lot of fights this past weekend. A lot of interesting talk that we need to get going here on Leave It in the Ring. But also, we got a guest that's coming on as well that we're anticipating. I'm excited about doing this interview with Top Rank's new announcer. Not new announcer. She's been around for some time, and she's been in the business for, I want to say, either a decade or over a little bit of a decade, right, Gabriel?
Yeah, don't call it a comeback. She's been here for years, but
exactly.
But ESPN now, people get to see her there and on a major, broadcast network. I believe she's only the second female to do play-by-play announcing, so it is a big deal. I'm not sure if that's just for a major fight or if that's in general. If it's in general, that's even bigger. So I'm excited. We like having reporters on here. That's one of my favorite things. And, there's a lot of different types of journalism, and she's a broadcast journalist. She's not an investigative journalist or a beat reporter. But, when I was living in Los Angeles those 6 years, Crystina was somebody that I saw on the beat regularly. And she was always just a really hard worker. Kind of doing what a lot of reporters would be getting to the press conference early and they'd show up, work their sources or whatever, but then just kind of let the press conference happen, let the stories come to them, get in the right line to interview which fighter. But Crystina would always be there, and I just remember that image no matter where we were at, sitting down, writing her questions down, looking at the bout sheet and adding additional things, coming up with stuff for the last second, just constantly working. And I feel like we're kind of seeing the graduation of people that have put in 10 years, because you got on Fox Sports 1 or on the Fox Sports, you've got Marcos Villegas, who has Fight Hub TV, and he still does Fight Hub TV. He's starting to pick up sponsorships. I thought it was interesting. I was looking at a video of his earlier, and at the beginning he's got a snack commercial that he does. I guess he's getting sponsored by them now. But now he's the official ringside scorer and the ringside reporter there for Fox Sports and for their boxing, and that's his dream. And I always felt like both of them were kind of coming up at the same time with similar dreams, to be that person. I never realized that Crystina wanted to be play-by-play, which is a very particular role. So I'm very excited to have her on the show and get her perspective on the sport, and also be able to say that we've had a Fox Sports person in Joe Goosen this year, who's also a big-time boxing head, and now we're going to have Crystina Poncher from ESPN. So it's just kind of part of what Dave and I talked about this year as we head into the new Leave It in the Ring episodes. We want to bring you different aspects of things that things that we haven't showed you from a different angle, or maybe the same thing, boxing, but from a different perspective. And I think getting broadcast journalists on the air is kind of where it's at. So I'm excited, man. It's going to be a good show tonight. Not a lot of exciting boxing fights to talk about, but there's other things.
Oh, we'll bite in that. We'll definitely bite on the past weekend fights. That's for sure. That's what we do here. You didn't catch that, did you, buddy?
Are you going to bite it? Oh, yeah, the price is bite.
The price is bite, buddy. Yeah, it's allergy season, which it's killing me right now, man. I got a massive headache, but we're going to, plow through this and get this show here on the road.
It's crazy this year, dude. I kind of got hit by it. My significant other has just been hit hard by it. And, people like us, we never I've never experienced it. I've never really known you to get that crazy about it. It's like the super bloom or something this year, man.
Well, look, it was sunny all weekend. On Saturday, after watching the fights, I watched the last broadcast. It was the DAZN one with Ryan Garcia as the main event. I was able to go sit outside. I sparked up a stogie, smoked it, had one beer, then went back inside and relaxed. And the following day, Sunday, did some yard work. Beautiful. Today's Monday. It's been all muggy looking. It's starting to sprinkle outside. So it's just, the weather here right now in California, I think throughout everywhere, it just hasn't made up its mind what it wants to do. Hopefully May is completely different. Hopefully mid-April is completely different. But right now it looks like the weather wants to April Fool us, because earlier it was a little sunny, it was a little warm. It's still a little warm, but I hear the rain falling on us. Like, April Fools, you thought it would be a sunny April. It's not.
No, it's raining here too. It's going to be raining for 4 days. I wish it would stop. Join us at about 10 minutes from now, 5:15, and I realize I haven't sent her a text reminder, so I'm going to do that right now while you talk.
Well, like everybody else, after Ryan Garcia got his victory, he immediately started attacking the Mayweather camp, talking about Mayweather's fighters. I thought right now, I thought when he was like saying, "I'm not afraid of you, Mayweather," and et cetera, I thought Gervonta Davis, Tank, right away. But then later on Fight Hub, he clarified it. He was talking about Rolando Rolly, the kid named Rolly. What's his last name? Rolando. I can't believe
Romero.
Romero, yeah, Rolando Romero. They call him Rolly, which they had a sparring session with each other, and and Rolly looked like he had the better part of the sparring against Ryan Garcia. But Ryan said, "Hey, look, I was 18 years old, which he's now 20. He's a father, and he expressed like things. Yeah, you probably got the better of me at that time, but times have changed. I'm a better fighter. I've improved, and he certainly has." He certainly has improved. He's doing some things in there that he wasn't doing in the beginning of his career. He used an uppercut that I didn't really see him use in the past. The one thing that stands out for me about the kid right now is he gets a little too hyper. He still doesn't, to me, he doesn't seem very fluent yet. It's almost like he gets on hyper gear and he doesn't know how to regulate it correctly, where he's just going to blow out his engine. That's the sense that I get with him. His chin is still a little bit up too high. I still see a lot of work with him. This is me personally. If I was on the Garcia King team, I would really be like, hey, let's slow down a bit. Let's just take a little step back. And I understand that Ryan wants to be the star. I think we all could sense that this kid is hungry to be this star, right? He's right now the Instagram king. I don't think anybody can argue about that. That's the one thing in the broadcasting that they keep talking about is how many followers he had on Instagram. But if you want to win over, fans, you got to get the KOs, which he's getting. If you want to win over the fans, you got to get the ones that really count, which I personally believe, and I think even his team believe that he's not ready for at this moment, Gabriel. I don't see him getting in with a Farmer. I don't see him getting in with a Davis. Maybe Rolly is that test to see where he's at. But if you were Golden Boy, would you be that eager to jump back into the room with Floyd Mayweather and their team?
No. I don't see. The guy's got a lot of confidence, and he's got a TV show on YouTube. So I guess it's the YouTube show. It's not really a TV show, but he's spread pretty thin. He's just a kid to a woman he's not married to. Somebody needs to tell him to slow down.
He really slow down. I mean, let me read you. Go ahead. Go finish your thought here.
Yeah, because I watch him. I'm just doing like three things at once just to kind of get to where we're headed. But I just kind of look at the way he fights, and I'm like, why are you going to the ropes when you're like way taller than your opponent? It's a lot of going to the ropes, a lot of absorbing punches. And what he said to Marcos was that, early on he doesn't want to spend time ducking or moving his head too much and get caught while the other guy's fresh, which, that makes sense to me. And Canelo is a blocker. He uses a lot of blocking, catches a lot of stuff with his gloves and arms. And I saw more of that from Ryan Garcia. Obviously, he's working with Reynoso.
Reynoso, yeah.
Yeah, and just we're kind of working in some new stuff. But it was they kind of brought in a guy that I thought was going to, because of his size, even though he's moving up in weight, I thought the extra weight would actually help the guy, and that he would give some rounds. And I'm sure that's what Mr. Diaz thought over at Golden Boy. But instead, you get 2 rounds of Ryan Garcia, who, we can dog his technique. He thinks he's incredibly precise and accurate. That's what he says is most impressive about himself as a fighter. But I think, maybe he's right. But I think all the other things like you mentioned need to happen too, because I remember talking with Emmanuel Stewart about Vladimir Klitschko, and I said, man, the thing that really impresses me about him is how incredibly accurate he is. He just seems to, he throws in combination and he's big and he's hard hitting, but he just lands on a dime. And if Ryan thinks that that's all it takes, wait till somebody actually punches you back and somebody's actually your size. Is that a rooster that I just heard?
That's my rooster.
Wow.
That's my guy on Negro, bro.
Your rooster got excited about what I'm saying. He's like, yeah, bro.
He's agreeing with you. He's agreeing with you.
Like,
I'm surprised you've never heard the rooster. I talked about it, I think, in the first show our first show comeback about the rooster. This rooster is confused. The guy roosters every hour. He's out there, roosting away in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. You even catch this guy at midnight, letting you know it's midnight. The neighbor's rooster. I don't know what to tell you. We live out here in the sticks.
That's hilarious. Okay, cool. She says to call when we're ready. I figured we'll just use the call-in feature. That seems to be the easier thing to do.
Absolutely. You know what I find very telling in terms of Ryan Garcia's age. He's 20 years old.
That's it, right there.
He's 20 years old, and the thing with him being 20 is that you can catch the immaturity a lot. Even like Canelo next to him, and watching him react in the post-interview, yelling out to the Floyd Mayweather camp, you could see the body language of Canelo, like, like what's going on here? Why is he still getting all hyped up in this interview?
He's out of his character, which is that of a composed champion.
Right. And then you go to the Fight Hub interview, and when they were interviewing him, they were asking about Rolly, obviously, and some of the things that he said were kind of cringing and kind of like, well, he is 20 years old. I mean, I don't think he really understands what is going on. But here's something he said. He said, because he said that Rolly had said he needs $200K to box. And he said, I don't need $200K. I have money coming in everywhere. It's like clockwork, and it's from outside of boxing. You need boxing. I don't.
Yeah, he said every month it rolls in. Every month.
Yeah.
That's actually where I turned off the video.
Yeah, and I was just like, what is he talking about? Like, what outside money are you talking about? Are you talking about endorsements?
He's talking about the endorsements. He's a model for Abercrombie and Fitch. He's a YouTube guy, and he's got a series, So, and they're probably throwing around money. And, he's marketable,
he's marketable. You got to remember where he got it from, though. Here's the thing, is that you got it from boxing. You didn't get it from, going out there and being a model and somebody discovered you like that. That's where your bread and butter comes from, is boxing. It's just, you sit there and you're like, oh, God, somebody needs to, like, sit him down. They need to talk. They need a translator for the guy. Man.
Yeah, I mean, it's he's 20, and imagine I can imagine, man, me with a microphone at 30 is rough. At 20, shit. Sometimes now I screw up. I just don't. Yeah, I get it. Like I'm not gonna shoot the kid down completely.
No.
For me though, when I see him in the ring, I'm just like, yeah, I wouldn't want you to fight Tank Davis if I was your handlers. I think he would break you in half. Maybe, he rises to the occasion and he shows us who he is. But I'm like, your record as is not. There's no Jose Pedrazas on your record, not even close.
No.
So,
No.
I mean, but he's also, he's got us talking about him, and he's got people that really are on that train because they know how much he pisses off, like you and me. Not us specifically, but like there's one half that feels like we do about him, and there's another half that innately just like loves the guy for that, I think. And then there's genuinely the girls that just think he's, God's gift. It's gonna be interesting watching Golden Boy develop this guy because we're kind of saying the same things about Canelo a little bit. Although I always felt Canelo could fight from age 18. That's why I first watched him because I liked the way he fought.
I think
I'm
the
not
kid
sure
can
about
fight.
Ryan Garcia.
You know what? No, I think Ryan can fight. I think though he is a very raw product. I think the brand is far ahead of him at the moment. There was no real there was no real test of the product yet. I think that's what everybody's wondering is this for real? How real can this become? And I think that over time it could be really real. I mean, he has the height, he's got the speed. When he decides to sit on his jab, it's there. You do see some glimpse of wow factor about him. He does have the killer instinct. When he smells blood, he goes for it. He doesn't hold back. Those can be bad and good all at once because we do have fighters right now that have all the skills in the world, but they don't have that second gear. They have all the experience, but they don't have that second gear when they need to turn it on. Ryan seems to have it. If Ryan was to get in with Davis right now, would he lose that fight? More likely, yes. I think the wages will all be with Gervonta Davis. But I think that he'd put up a hell of a fight because the kid does have some real self-belief in him, and that's what you want out of a fighter. I remember some of the questions in interviews. I mean, we've done tons and tons of interviews here on Leaving the Ring, and I think the reason why we kind of stopped interviewing fighters is because we always got the same script. Like, so how's camp? Camp is the best camp I've ever had in my life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So these fighters are basically going to tell you exactly what they think you want to hear. They're not going to tell you a lie. This is the most shittiest camp I've ever been a part of, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But sometimes sometimes when they're telling you like, oh, this is great, you already kind of know. You could feel it. Yeah.
It's 5:15. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Call her in, man.
Yeah, it's time. Yeah, we'll get back to Ryan Garcia. There's a lot to talk about.
Hello?
Hi, Christina. It's Gabriel.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. I was about to do the runway thing, and I'm kind of new to this whole calling in system that they're doing. So welcome to Leave It in the Ring. This is Gabriel. My partner is David Duenez, and there's
Hi,
millions
David.
of people listening right now.
Hi, Christina.
Millions. This is
Yes.
the biggest show I've ever been on right here
Yes,
with millions of people.
This is
That's
the
not
extra
true.
number
Nobody
one
listens.
podcast. Yeah.
Nobody even tunes in. We're our biggest fans. That's the crazy part is that we are our biggest fans here on Leaving the Ring.
Hey, you got to be in this business. No, there's no love lost. You got to be your biggest fan.
There's no question.
We're like the Ryan Garcias of podcasting. That's what we've been told.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I'll be Canelo then. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. It's actually kind of. I was saying to Dave earlier on the show that having you on, having been down there and watched, like observing you, but also Marcos Villegas, who at the same time is coming up. He's now the Fox official scorecard guy for their boxing program and ringside reporter. And now seeing you on ESPN Plus, it's like that generation is graduating into those positions. It's
really cool. I'm happy for him too. Him and I have been, grinding for quite some time now, and I was super happy when I saw that he got that opportunity, because that's kind of a perfect way to put it. We were kind of in the same class coming up, and we're starting to get in there, 9-10 years later, but we're doing it. That's what it takes. You got to put in the work.
Yeah. I mean, like Steve Kim, who's put in about 20 years, it would seem. Like he was part of the original, like Max Boxing, the original, like, internet reporters getting credentialed. I think him and Doug were the first. Now he's on ESPN. It's just nice to see, and because my image of you is always before a press conference, you're sitting there with your paper, we're having our meals, but you're writing questions down, looking at the bout sheet, kind of coming up with last second stuff so that you could work, up to the last minutes where you started to work. And I was always very impressed by that.
Well, yeah, I mean, the preparation is so crucial and so key. And, up to the last minute, I'm like scatterbrained looking at my notes, like, okay, and food means a lot to me. People that know me personally know to, like, give up most of the meal to be still making sure I got my notes and my stuff tight is kind of a big deal. So that's how seriously I take my job. So
the Beverly Hills Hotel flan is to die for, ladies and gentlemen, and that is sacrifice right there. You have a degree in journalism, right? From was it University of Southern California, Long Beach, if I'm not mistaken?
Correct. Yeah, Cal State Long Beach. Mm-hmm.
Dave was actually, I'm stealing Dave's question, but
no, go right ahead. It's okay.
Did you start out wanting to be? What kind of journalist did you start out wanting to be? And then when did you turn in the corner into sports journalism?
I wanted to be a sports reporter since I was like 13 years old. So it's what I've always wanted to do. And I knew going into journalism that I was going to do my option in broadcasting because I knew I wanted to be on TV, even though I was a pretty good writer and, I wrote for the school paper and things like that. I wanted to be able to talk more. So, yeah, I mean, it's what I've always wanted to do since I was 13 years old. So I always had a feeling that, where I was going to get my internship or what I was going to do my apprenticeship was always going to be something in sports. And that's just the way that it went. And I got an internship in college, and that kind of helped drive things from there.
At 13, what sport was it that made you go like, that's what I want to do? Like who are you tuning into that gave you that inspiration and that bite, that bug of saying, I want to do that?
In all honesty, I grew up in Southern California. I'm a big Los Angeles Lakers fan, and I was watching John Ireland, who was the sideline reporter for the Lakers at the time for, KCAL 9, who used to show Laker games, and Fox, and I said, I want to take his job. And that's the first thing I said to him when I met him one day, too. I was a sophomore in high school, and he was just by chance was at my high school because the Lakers D-League team was practicing in our gym for something. And I walked up to him, and I said, Mr. Ireland, my name's Crystina Poncher, and one day I want to have your job. And he kind of looked at me, and he laughed, and he's like, wow. He's like, well, okay, he's like, work hard, and, gave me the whole spiel. But, that's kind of where it started from, watching him do his thing. And, he was like, this little girl.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm serious. He looked shocked, but I was so confident in what I was saying. He probably had no choice but to believe me. And he remembered that. I met him I met him again when I got an internship at Fox Sports West and Prime Ticket, and actually started working there as a reporter, and saw him and reminded him. And he says that he remembers. I don't know if he did, but he definitely. I reminded him of the story, and every time I saw him since then, he's like, I got to watch my back around you, with like a smile and stuff like that. So that's kind of where it all started, and the first person that I looked at as like that would be a dream job. So it was being.
Let me ask you this, because anytime anybody starts chasing their dream, there's always like a point where you feel like there's a roadblock. Like you get to this point, you're like, I don't think it's going to happen. Did you ever get that, or did you ever get at a point in your life following this dream and putting all that hard work in there, where you sometimes felt like, God, this is a lot tougher than what I thought it was going to be?
I could probably write a book on the roadblocks, no lie. I mean, that's long. We could take this whole podcast on the roadblocks and things
Well, give us a few.
Oh, okay. I was thrown off by that thing. I was in the host queue. I didn't know what that was. That was like someone calling in. Must be. But so, for instance, when I first started with Top Rank, they weren't really committed to having one person do the interviews or whatnot. So at the time, they were also using, I don't know if you remember her, Inez Stein. Inez, she came from covering sports in Mexico, and she got really popular because she would dress like with real tight pants on. And
I do.
The NFL.
Yes, I do remember.
You kind of remember her, little blonde hair.
Yeah.
So Top Rank was using her because they didn't believe that I had a big enough following at the time. I was just kind of getting my social media started or whatever. I came from being a sports reporter, not from having all these followers and stuff on social media. So I would do the little stuff, but then they would bring her for the big stuff, and that really bothered me because I'm on the ground hustling, doing the press conferences, the media workouts, and all that, and then Pacquiao fights Margarito in Dallas, and I'm thinking, here I go, and they're like, no, we're taking Inez, and I'm like, what? It's things like that. That was a big one that stood out. Not that she wasn't a respected sports reporter at the time, but I just felt like I had done all the groundwork to get the opportunity, and she was the bigger name, the bigger star, and so be it. What's another one that stands out? Oh, the HBO The Fight Game. I was in the running to be a part of that show and came down to a final few contestants before I think they went with Melissa Stark that year. And the reason that they told me was I knew too much about the sport, and I was too much of an insider, and they wanted somebody that would appeal to a broader sports audience or had less of the boxing knowledge and more of a general sports knowledge, and that kind of crushed me too. I'm like, what? I've never been turned down for a job for knowing too much.
You're overqualified.
I'm not trying to throw anybody. Yes, basically that. And I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, she again, another person with a bigger following, more experience than me. So it's not that she wasn't qualified. I was like, that's the reason you're going to give me, was that I know too much about that.
Well,
there's things like that.
You were overqualified, though. In all sense, you were overqualified if they told you you'd know too much. You're going to give too much.
I felt like I would add to the show in that sense with what I could bring and the relationships that I've had over the years developed with the fighters and the trainers, and I thought that would be an asset, and I never thought it would be a detriment, in that sense.
Right.
So,
Steve
like I said, there's been several.
We argued about that, or we didn't with each other, but we both talked about that. That's what that show was missing, was actually, somebody that goes to the gyms and covers the sport as a reporter. That show is ill-conceived, and to me, making that someone gave you that reason is why people complain about the suits ruining things in Hollywood. I'm curious, do you think growing up in LA gave you that kind of confidence? Where TV and film is such a part of the culture that it wasn't like going to another planet the way it is for people that have to move to LA in order to achieve their dream. Do you think that made that a little easier?
I think it did because, even when I was in college and, I had professors, all of us that are broadcast majors telling the students, you're going to have to go to Kalamazoo or you're going to have to go to the middle of nowhere to do this. And I'm like, why can't we do this right here? We live in the number 2 market in the country. There's outlets, there's everything here. And, I got the confidence just because I knew there was a lot of television stations, a lot of opportunity, a lot of sports here. So absolutely, I think growing up in Southern California helped me with that. It's just the emphasis in school and with the people that have the experiences. Well, you don't really get started here. This is not a training ground. It's a destination for journalists in that sense. And I was like, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to make it happen right here. And thankfully, it was God's plan, and I'm still here doing it. So.
When you watch fights now, you did 16 fights in the last 2 weeks. That's a lot of prep. Is that a lot of tape? 19. Oh my God. 19.
Yeah. So the thing is, guys, I have been calling, and this is the part where I was talking to Mark Friegel. He's like, people don't know you've been doing this. And I said, this is the thing.
Right.
I have been calling undercard fights. I have been in the color commentator spot, and I have called 8, 9, 10 fights before. Just never in the blow-by-blow, the lead position, the number one talker, the traffic cop. That's where it's been different. So that's the part where it's that's where you kind of get thrown in the fire, swim or drown. That's just how it's going to go. And it was a lot. I felt like I had to be even more so prepared because in that second role, in that color role, when I don't have anything to say, I just be quiet. Like, I don't have anything to add. I don't
Right.
have to say something all the time. But
Those are the best moments.
but I think
sometimes,
to that point, that is something that, particularly when you have a knockout or you have a moment where the crowd is just taking over, like, don't talk. Just be quiet and let the ambient noise, let the crowd, let the, excitement kind of take over. And that's something that I was taught. That's something that I've learned. And, that's really important for anybody coming out. I mean, listen to Vince Scully and just listen to Chick Hearn, and, they riff and they rattle, but they know Joe Tessitore put it great, right? He's like, it's you, it's Chris Algieri, and the third person is the natural sound. There's 3 people on your broadcast. Don't leave that third person out. Don't leave that third person out. Make sure you, and I was like, wow, that's exactly right. And so it was still a whole lot more talking, but it's just knowing the pace, knowing the control, and those are the things that I'll continue to work on, the more reps that I get.
That's what it's about too. Time on stage, you'll get more relaxed and learn how to let a moment breathe for just like an extra second and then go. And it's also growing up in LA. You got Vince Scully and Chick Hearn, 2 of the greatest to ever do it. That's pretty awesome as like great examples. That's always the sound of home for me because I grew up down there as well.
So I mean, they were talking legends. Yes, Boston. Like, there's different markets that have these, guys that they've always listened to, and those were the 2 guys for me. And to play-by-play, blow-by-blow, whatever you want to call it. Yes, in our sports, blow-by-blow. But, it wasn't something that I always dreamed of being in that position. I looked at the reporter position, and to me, especially as a woman coming up, that seemed to be an attainable goal. So that's kind of what I focused on. I never dreamed about being in the lead role. It just was an opportunity that was proposed to me, and I took the chance to give it a try. I'd be lying if I said, I wanted to be, a female Chick Hearn. That was never the case, or Jim Lampley, or whoever you want to say in boxing. But listening to those guys and knowing, like, the creativity, the personality, I think I have what it takes to do it. I just wasn't that specific job, that role wasn't the dream at the time.
That was going to be one of my questions was, did you know that you had this confidence to get behind that mic? I mean, because what you said, there's got to be that silence. You got to allow that silence to help you out. And sometimes I always felt like commentators, they don't know when to shut it. They just keep talking and they start trying to fill it up with a bunch of other BS that you already know about or you just don't even care about. And you kind of miss that moment where your reaction is raw, and it's always like to me, there's some announcers that leave a statement of what they're catching in front of them that's going to be forever remembered by the fans. Like, for instance, with you, I thought it was great. You made the KO even more better when you said, "Hello, Donald Smith," and then later you said, "Now you can celebrate, young man." That was a good catchphrase from you. That was something that I felt celebrating with the Donald Smith when he got that KO, because you guys were mentioning how much he needed it. So you took away that one question I had was like, did you know that you were going to be that comfortable behind the mic? I think it's awesome though that you said, let me go at it. I think it's like any athlete, they have to try to get in there first to see how great they can be at it. And you're doing almost the exact same thing.
Well, and I think that confidence comes from, kind of like Gabe, you were saying, is getting those reps in, right? So I knew I was confident in my knowledge of the sport and, and being myself and my personality, from hosting the press conferences, from doing the, reports from the gyms, from even doing the color commentary role. It's just that, it takes a long time, I feel like, in the play-by-play role to find your voice, to make those calls sound like you're not biting somebody else's style. Like, you're coming in with who you are, and it's a natural, raw emotion, but still composed and poised enough because you still are a professional and you still have a job to do. And finding that balance, like, I never had to be like, oh, and he's down. Like, I was like, how am I going to do this? Do I practice it? Like, and I was like, I guess it's just going to come naturally, like, as it happens. And, my first KO call was like, all right, the Maxim Dadashev one, and there's some room that left a little room for error there because multiple reasons, things that you can see and don't see in a split second, but then this weekend we got a couple more, and I felt even more comfortable and more confident even in one show, because it's, you know, one show, but I'm talking like 5 or 6 fights into the night, and you're in your stride. You know, when that knockout came, and then Sonny Kanto got a big knockout. You know, I think my confidence is growing each time. It's just a matter of finding my voice, and those phrases, those things that I said, it just comes out. I didn't plan it.
How exhausted are you by the time you're all done? I mean, because, you know, for myself and Gabriel, I know we used to do a 3-hour show. We cut it down to 2 hours here on podcast. And right after we're done, I mean, me, literally, I can speak for myself. I walk out of my office and I go straight to the kitchen, grab something to eat, and then I'm out. Lights are out for me. I know for you, it's got to be 3 times more exhaustion behind it.
It is. And, you know, I'm a talker. Anyone that knows me, like, ever since I was young. And to be able to be like, I'm tired of talking. I don't want to talk. I'm like, eating throat lozenges. People are looking at me like, who's in there? Where's Christina? Because we never heard her say that before. Just because it's not just the actual physical part of talking using your voice and the energy levels up and down. I mean, we're on the air for 4.5 hours, 5 hours. Like, I'm hungry. I ran to go pee in like 2 seconds if we had like an opportunity during a commercial break. You know, it's the mental preparation of next fight up, next fight up, next fight up. So it's like, yeah, you feel like an athlete who's just, you know, gone into overtime, if you will, and you're exhausted. I treat it like that because I take it so very seriously and I prepare like that. And then you get Sunday to sleep on the plane, and then maybe Monday if it's a Saturday fight week, and then it's like right back to the next. That's how it was from Costa Mesa to Philly. Like, I really didn't have any downtime from one show to the next. Now I do this week before we have our Lomachenko fight on the 12th. Go, 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 go. And, you know, I developed a little throat hoarseness. I'm like sucking on lozenge. Like, this is, oh, sorry, I just cursed. This is crazy, like how much you need to prepare yourself for it.
What do you do to keep your voice in shape? Because that's got to be rough. Have you ever, you know, I know you have a degree in journalism.
I should ask you. I should ask you what I should do, because I know you have performing
the
everything
theater
that
training.
you've done. Yeah.
You know, this last year, because I have kind of a eclectic education. I have many years of, you know, and I've worked in like 600-seat theaters. But this year I finally, for about 6 months now, I've got an opera singing coach who's teaching me how to actually sing. And now I'm like, oh, I've been breathing wrong like this whole time. And he's, you know, I've been like, well, maybe not wrong, but like he's really fixed me. So I got like a private guy, and that's the thing. But I mean, like, you know, the lemon and the honey, like, you know, I have a Mexican mom, or did.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, all the Mexican remedies, those work. She would take like two spoonfuls of honey and like squeeze out a whole lemon and make like a cough syrup out of that and knock that back.
Water too works great.
I'm like doing warm water. I'm like my Ricolas and my Halls and my, you know,
Fisherman's
it's just
Friend.
all that stuff. But I never talked that much, and
it's a lot
for that period of time. It's a lot, but it comes with the job. I'm blessed to be in that position, so it's not really a, you know, a big job hazard. I'll get used to it.
So are you with ESPN, or are you a Top Rank correspondent and just part of the Top Rank Unboxing production team?
Currently, I am a Top Rank. I'm an independent contractor, but I get paid from Top Rank. They're the ones that hire myself, Chris, or Bomac, or whatever, for the ESPN Plus portion of the undercard. But anything, you know, that may be coming up for ESPN, that would be a different story. But right now, currently, I'm paid by Top Rank. My contract's with Top Rank.
How much do you think, you know, ESPN, I mean, they're going huge with Top Rank. At some point, I mean, where do you see all this going? Because like in the last 10 years, it seems, even the last year or two, it seems like boxing has drastically changed.
It has.
PBC, you know, emerged, and we thought they'd go away. They're not going away. And then Top Rank on ESPN, and then like the streaming war has exploded. The Zone came on the scene. What are your thoughts on how things are going to go? Do you think that there's going to be a boxing league, or do you think it's just going to remain the way it's always been, and it'll just be this independent brands on the different networks?
I think it's going to remain the way that it's been. I just think, like you said, with the addition of the streaming services, I think that it's just going to be more accessible in more ways than it has ever been before, and it's evident in also the amount of shows being shown a month, you know, now than what it was before. I mean, there was a time right before top-ranked deal with HBO came to an end, where we were struggling for dates for shows. I mean, I was like lucky if we got a show a month. 2 shows a month was like hitting the lottery. So there was just not enough dates for the fighters and for fights. And now it's like we got 3 weeks back to back to back, and we're filling cards with 11 fights still. That just goes to show you how many guys go on the sideline just waiting to get paid. And that's just not on ESPN. That's the same night that DAZN has a card, or that's same as a Friday night to a Saturday Showtime card, or, you know, Fox or whatever. So I think that the best part is there's more boxing available more than ever before. I just think that it's really important to capitalize on this time in our sport with trying to make the best fights possible. And I think that that's the most important thing. And they got to work it out where I saw somebody tweet something today. I can't remember who it was, but they said something about, you know, when it's two competing, you know, networks or streaming services, why doesn't one get the TV rights, the other get the digital rights, or something like that? You know, we made it happen for Mayweather Pacquiao, so it can be done. It's just, you know, who's going to budge or where they're going to budge. And if the networks can come together and make those things happen, the sport will take off like never before, because the exposure and the reach is bigger than ever, more than ever.
Yeah, there's a big potential to just have it anywhere. Like, it was my birthday weekend, and I was like partying like a much younger man, but I was able to like watch the fights on my phone, you know, and that's pretty amazing. And, you know, 2019, I was able to like kind of keep up as I was doing my thing, because the sport, you know, like you said, it has, I think, potential to be bigger than ever, because this generation, they just watch things in a completely different way. I've got, you know, I don't have kids, but I have like nieces and nephews, and they all are of that screen generation, and it's not weird to them to watch whatever on a tiny phone.
Well, and it's not even just that you watch it on the phone. You can, you know, people now don't have cable anymore.
Yeah, I don't have cable.
They're canceling cable. So it's like you just go online on your smart TV or download an app onto your TV and watch it that way. You don't have to subscribe to cable to get Fox or to get Showtime or what have you.
Yeah, I'm a total cord cutter. I've got you know, YouTube TV and I've got DAZN, and that's how I watch my ESPN. And then, you know, I've got Amazon with Showtime, and, you know, it used to have HBO, but, you know, I'm not in the Game of Thrones, so I don't have it anymore.
It's time has changed so fast. I mean, let me ask you this. You know, you've been around the sport for over a decade, right? Or a decade already. And you've seen the changes in journalism. Tell me what you think has been good from the changes from then to now, and been bad, in your opinion.
In what aspect?
In journalism,
the coverage of the sport.
Yeah, the cover of the sport. You know, you guys. You know, I started off doing the YouTube videos, and that was really new. And that was over years ago, but now you see that more. So, you know, I mean, obviously there's good that come out of it, but I can actually talk about there's the bad part of having YouTubers and podcasting and whatnot.
Well, I think the good thing about it is everybody, you know, you can create your own space. You don't have to wait for the slim openings or opportunities, you know, with a network or with a promoter, because most people that get in those spots, you know, they're there until, you know, either they get cut or they get too old or they get another opportunity. Those major roles are so far and few between. But now with the landscape of, you know, digital and social media, you can create your own space, give your own opinions, do your own interviews. And I think that's, you know, people have become mega stars off being YouTubers and things like that. So I think that's a good part of it. I think that the kind of the bad part about it is those people, or a lot of people when they first get started, or, you know, there's no filter, there's no rules, there's no regulation. So sometimes fighters get asked questions that are so off the cuff, or they get asked questions that have nothing pertaining to the media workout in which they're training for that fight, because people just want to get the clicks, or people just want to hear them say or react in some sort of way out of character so that they can blast that out. And I feel like those kind of things don't necessarily help the sport. You know, it's like we'll be at a media workout for, let's say, Lomachenko's fight with Krolla coming up, and everybody wants to ask about something completely different. And no one wants to talk about the fight that's at hand. And sometimes you get crappy answers because of that. And it's like, dang, he has no personality, or he's not even trying to sell the fight. Well, no one's asking about it, you know? So it's just that part kind of does make it make it hard and make it difficult. And, then everyone also has an opinion and can comment and say all kinds of crazy things like if you don't have a husband or a kid or a mom or a father or, and things like that. So that's kind of the crappy part too. But overall, I think it's good.
That's something I do not miss from the scrums. Is the random clickbait stuff.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's like it's on it's like the espresso of it now.
So there's some character. I don't even know the guy's name. He comes in with a loud voice and some glasses, and I've never seen him before. And he does some interview with Lomachenko. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
No,
I don't. But you know what? There was a lot of them when I used to do interviews and go down into LA and just go to the media workouts and go to the gyms and talk. You would always. It was like trickling in that those type of characters started trickling in little by little.
Guy?
Yeah.
Everyone's like looking around and. He gets to see, everyone gets a chance, and he can do an interview with Lomachenko, right? And he goes to, put his arm around him, and Lomachenko looks at him, he's like, don't touch me, and the next thing you know, it's, going viral because Lomachenko, tells him not to touch him, and it's, hilarious. Everyone's, laughing or whatever, and I'm like, nothing about the fight, just because the guy tried to hug him or whatever. It's insane.
I remember when Manny was going to fight Oscar. And Freddie Roach was like, "Yeah, come on down. We could do an interview, and you could sit back." And then he had some media guys there, and there was this other guy that was there. I don't remember his name, but if I saw his face, I'd remember his name. But he had brought a bag. Did I tell you about this, Gabriel? He had brought a bag full of boxing gloves.
You did tell me about this.
And he was asking Manny Pacquiao if he could sign every one of these gloves. And I just
no, dude, I think that guy's still around. I bet you that guy's
really?
Still around. I bet I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. I'm not going to describe him. But
right.
I think I know who you're talking
Freddie
about.
rushed up to him, and Manny's team ran up to him. They're like, "Hey, that's enough. You need you just did this yesterday. You got to go. You got to go." And the guy was like, "Why? What did I do wrong?" And everybody's like, "Are you serious, man?"
No, dude, there is a guy like that. We catch him everywhere. He just waits outside of the gyms after the media days are over, and he just gets a ton of gloves, try to get him signed, probably to sell or whatever. And some fighters turn him down, and he gets all pissed. I know there's a guy. I don't know his name, but I see him everywhere, every time.
Apprenticing, well, not apprenticing, but you've been, learning your trade, working with the Colonel. I'm really curious about that. But also just in that, covering the international broadcast, but also the undercards, who's the gold that we don't know about? Have you seen somebody who's the prospect that we're not quite talking about? Is there anybody that you see, or just maybe there's somebody we have seen, but who, out of everybody that you've seen on these undercards, is there somebody that you have an eye on as a future champ?
That's a tough one because I feel like a lot of the guys that I was going to mention are now getting some shine. You know what I mean? Like Teofimo. I mean, he's blast onto the scene from the first one. I was like, whoa, he's going to be something special. I like Jeremy Adorno. He's been fighting on some of our undercards. His brother just made his pro debut, but I think or Joseph Adorno, excuse me, I just mentioned his brother Jeremy, who we just signed too. But I think he's another one, southpaw. He's training out of he's from Allentown, Pennsylvania, but he's been doing some work with the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy. I think he's someone that you guys should keep an eye on. I got a chance to watch some film on a fighter, Boots Ennis, last name Ennis. I think he's another one that
Mm-hmm.
I think he's another one that people got to look out for. There's something about the kid that I just met this weekend, the heavyweight Sonny Conto. Being an Italian heavyweight from Philly, I mean, you want to talk about? I'm like, he's got like screenwriters are already lined up watching his pro debut, right? Because he fits the mold of what you want to see from that area. And Italian, I mean, I think that he's going to be a good fighter. I mean, there's a lot. You just never know. I mean, I thought Felix Verdejo was going to be super special, and then look kind of what happened. It's hard. It's really hard to see how everything plays out. I mean, I'm not knocking Felix, but I just think that I think everybody had bigger expectations for him, and granted, some things unfortunately happened to him outside of the ring, but you just never know. You just never know. It's hard.
Yeah,
It is. It's panning for gold. That's why I refer to them as gold, because it's trainers. Like, those guys are the miners in some ways, and the promoters as well, and they're investing everything in it. But you just never know. Like Verdejo, I remember seeing with De La Hoya and Trinidad's induction into the Hall of Fame, and he was there signing autographs. I was like, there's a guy that gets it. He's there talking with the fans and like building his fan base and that connection. But he didn't really pan out. I was never big on him as a fighter, but I know you got to get going soon. I'll pass the last question to Dave, and then we can wrap up. I really appreciate your time here, Crystina. If you're just tuning in,
thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm going to read off
at Crystina Poncher on Twitter and Instagram.
I'm going to read off a really quick a question from Twitter that some of the guys that tune in to this show. One of them is from Boxing Esquire. Ask her what her favorite boxing podcast is.
I mean, leave it in the ring. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, that's why I'm here. It's dinner time, and I'm supposed to be cooking dinner right now, and I'm here. So there's your answer.
The question I wanted to ask you. The question I wanted to ask you is this: is because my family, I'm a Mexican American background. And boxing was just, embedded in us, my grandfather, my uncle, it was something that we did every night. I mean, every weekend, if the fights were on, that's how we bonded. But a lot of people think that it stopped there with just the males. My grandmother's a huge boxing fan. My mom's a huge boxing fan. My aunts are all huge boxing fans. And a lot of times that my aunts know more about the sport, not just boxing, but basketball and football more than the men. What do you think is the misconception most men have of women that are involved in the media or even in the position where you're at?
I think that the biggest misconception is they're only fans because like their husbands or their dads or their brothers were. And that's not like I something that stands out to me so much is women all the time get asked, how did you get into sports? I never hear men get asked that question.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like what men are born into it, or they come with like that and women can't. Like I grew up loving sports just like as if I had a brother probably would, but I get asked, when did you get into sports? Like they don't ask my husband that question, who's loved sports his whole life like I have. So it's just one of those things where they expect you to say like, oh, I started watching, boxing because my husband did, or it's like it was just the way that you just said, the women in family were it was second nature. It was always on in the house, right? Or the car. It becomes part of who you are, and that's how it was for me. Like I did come from a sports family, and I watched it, I played it, and I got into it just the same way that you guys probably did. It's not something that was forced onto me or whatever. I grew a love for it, a love for competition, a love for the unknown, a love for the momentum. I mean, I can go on and on, but it came from when I was young, and I think the biggest misconception is that girls only like it because they want to, their husbands made them watch or their fathers made them watch. Like, no, I would gladly sat there with my dad, and while I was learning the presidents of the United States, I was also learning the starting five of the Lakers. Like, that's just what it was,
Right.
It's just one of those things,
It's like religion, yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
My wife does not understand at all. She's from Bakersfield.
And that's fine, right?
It's totally fine.
It's not for everybody, and I know, and I appreciate the women that do get into it because they want to spend more time with their, family, the male, their brothers or their husbands or whatever the case may be. But if it's not for you, that's totally fine too. Like every guy's not into sports, and every girl doesn't need to be into sports.
That's true. What's funny when you said like men are never asked like how'd you get into the sport. I feel the same way because I cook. I'm the one that cooks at home. I'm the one that does a lot of stuff around the house here, and like my relatives would go like, how did you learn how to cook? Or, where did you learn how to wash clothes at? And I'm like, I don't know, my mom, I guess. I mean, it was just something that we had to do every Saturday and Sunday. But
but you don't, but you got asked that like it's like, hello, this is every day something that you should know how to do. Because you're a guy doing it, yeah.
Well, you got to eat, don't you? You know, that was always be my answer to people. Like, well, you have to eat, right? Well, I wanted to eat, so I cooked for myself because my mom was a single parent. You know?
Right. Yeah, and it's like, oh, you like sports, but like you wear makeup and you do your hair or you wear heels. I'm like, yeah, I do. Like, I don't need to be like butch looking to like love sports. You know, it doesn't like that's not how it works. That's not how it works.
What I always liked, and I say this as a theater guy and as a married guy, I appreciate that you kind of always walked that balance. Like, you just looked nice for work. It wasn't like you're like trying to trade off of the whole thing of being. You weren't like just showing too much. It was like you always like you weren't like nice colors. That's what I always noticed about you. I've seen this.
Yeah, it's important too, and it's something that is probably one thing that I think women have to think about more than men is just kind of how you present yourself and how you carry yourself, because that's not. I don't think someone's going to look at my male colleague, one who's wearing, a suit and the other one who's wearing like shorts and tennis shoes, and they're probably both going to get taken seriously. It's sports, right? But a woman, it's different. So I think that's something that any women coming up or around you have to really think about that. And I know it shouldn't come down to that. You shouldn't have to be what does it matter what I wear? Well, it does. It matters.
And it is such a double standard, because there are dudes that wear, sandals and shorts like everywhere. And, that's considered professional. But like if a woman's too revealing or too this or, but I always appreciated that you also, you're just very much yourself. You're not like some people wear like the pantsuit. Nothing against the pantsuit, but it's like kind of a take on what a man would wear into this environment. And you didn't do that, which I really appreciate. It's a difficult needle to thread, How are you going to be in this very like hyper masculine environment? And you just always carried yourself like a pro, and I think
thank you guys. Thank you.
You're welcome, and just always, like I said, as a theater person, I love people that prepare and that are like up to the last second. I could see you writing questions and getting ready, and then boom, you go. And I just always appreciated that. So it's nice to see you doing well. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, and I appreciate your time and having me on. Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations with everything you're doing and your son. I know a lot of young men are going to be very jealous of your son because their mom talks boxing.
Everyone thinks he's gonna. I tell you, like he's the star now. I'm telling you, everyone thinks he's gonna box. Everyone's like, "What's up, champ?" I'm like, "No." Well, he's not going to box. and you know what? I think that the best part of this, if I can just end it on this, it's two things. It's one, you can be a wife and a mother and a professional. You can manage it all. And two, it's important that if you have your eye on the prize and you keep hustling and you work hard and you do things the right way, you will get your opportunity. You will get your shot. You just got to step up and be ready when the time comes. And, like Gabe, you said, I've been grinding, I've been hustling, doing this for almost a decade now, and it's just about capitalizing when you get the opportunity, and that's what it is. If it's meant for you, it will be. So those are two very important things. I put off having a family for quite some time because I was nervous about how it would affect my career, but you can make it happen, and you can do it all. You just have to work hard and seize the moment and the opportunity.
That's great.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Now I got to go put on those other hats and make dinner now for my family.
There you go. All right, take care. Thanks for coming on. It was great.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, take care.
All right, talk soon. Bye-bye.
All right, peace. Wow, that's
Crystina
really
Poncher, I'm leaving in the ring. If you guys missed the interview, don't worry about it. It'll be up a little later here on
everywhere.
Blog Talk. Everywhere, actually. We're on TuneIn, Stitcher,
YouTube,
Spotify. So there's really FM. There's the other thing called FM something. I don't even remember what it's called, but we're part of that. Hopefully soon we'll be part of Pandora. Not sure yet, but
and I should say too. I was bringing it up, and then I just didn't want to even. Maybe old reporter me would have done this, try to find a way into that conversation, but because and this wasn't even said explicitly, but because the Pulev reporter that he kissed thing went litigation, because she's working for Top Rank and not ESPN, I couldn't really even get into that because you'd be putting like a Top Rank who represents Pulev employee kind of in a legal jeopardy situation. So I couldn't even go near it. Not, if you think that, I've been bought off by the administration or a top rank or whatever. Like, yeah, you just don't know me. It's just the way it is. And so I thought, Dave and I talked about it. There was just so many more things we could talk to somebody that's spent 10 years on the front lines of boxing about. And I hope it's the first of many conversations, man. She's great.
Yeah, she was great. That was a great interview. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I hope everybody else that tuned in enjoyed it. Hey, let's open up the phone lines. I know we're going to do some reviews, but we got a lot of callers. Let's open it up and let's talk some boxing here with our listeners.
All right, then, man. And I'm gonna enjoy. One of the good things about throwing a birthday brunch at your house is you can't drink all the alcohol that everyone brings, and so we've got a nice bar going for the rest of this month because I drink.
So you didn't do the cash and price thing where they start throwing the beer, wasting your beer by throwing it across the room. I don't know if you saw that. What a waste of beer.
Yeah.
What a waste of alcohol, man. Come on.
I don't know what that is, but somebody left Cool Kids with a Z Juicy IPA here. So I think I'm from Cali Craft Brewing Company.
Oh, wow.
I think I'm going to crack that open for the last hour here as we head to the callers. 619, you're live on Leave It in the Rain.
Hey, what's up, Gabe? Dave, how you doing? It's Juan.
Juan, what's up, man? Well, how about yourself?
Up? Trying to get early this time. I missed last week and wanted to chime in on the Garcia-Spence fight and a little bit about what happened this week. Everything good here. How about you guys? How's everything?
Your voice sounds a little rough. Was that like a really hard Coke binge this weekend? You kind of, or was it allergies?
You know what? I my job involves me on the phone a lot, and I was we had a lot of work the last 3-4 weeks, and I'm feeling it now, dude. It's been rough, but here we are. We'll get by it. I watched the fight, the Mikey Spence fight. I when I called and gave my 2 cents, it pretty much went as I said, that Spence was going to win not because he was bigger, but because he was as good or better, technically. And but one thing that I've been thinking about, and I wrote to Dougie's mailbag, and he said something there that got me thinking, and also kind of got me thinking about the Juan Manuel Marquez fight against Floyd Mayweather. In the end, yes, Spence was better, but we can't just say that size doesn't have anything to do with it, because in the end, Mikey didn't want to go in because that jab was probably very hard, and he didn't want to risk too much. His size, the length of his arms, so he just couldn't even begin to start using his style, and it did, it was a factor in the end, size. But again, one of the things is that, and you guys said it, I was listening to your last week's show earlier today, you guys said it best too, that also he didn't seem to have plan B. He prepared for countering. He thought he was going to come to him, and if you see his body and everything, you're right, that was also right. So I think two things happened.
It was the worst plan of all time for a guy moving up in weight. Am I wrong?
Exactly. I think you're totally right. And I think that if you look at Marcus Floyd, Marcus was always trying. But, size was a big factor in that fight, because whenever Floyd hit him, it was harder. He could feel it. And he just, but at least he tried. He was moving and everything.
It's like they learned nothing from that fight, and they were like facing the same conditions from the same people that brought you that fight. And you know what? It's crazy. I didn't think about it till afterwards. I think you brought it up beforehand. I didn't even think about it. I was like, that it's exactly the same fight. They just marketed it better.
Yeah.
And Mikey's younger.
Because in the end, Floyd and Errol kind of fought the same kind of fight. Because Errol, even though he's a strong guy, he could have knocked him out if he tried. He was so pissed at everybody saying he wasn't smart, that he said, I'm going to show you that I'm smarter than you think. And he did the Floyd, the Floyd thing, just hit you, get you a little bit off of your rhythm, and then hit you again, and then hurt you a little bit and get back. Just keeping you there to just outsmart you and embarrass you, which I thought was awesome in a way, because, he proved everybody wrong in that regard. And I get what he wanted to do. I get it, because in the end, he wants to be compared against Crawford. In the end, that's the guy he's going to be compared at, I think. Now, Well, that being said, I want to go with what Crystina was saying right now. Great interview, by the way. I loved it. You're talking about Verdejo, and I was thinking earlier today because somebody was talking about Verdejo fighting or I don't know if against Garcia.
He's on the undercard of Amir Khan, right? I think he's going to be on the undercard of Crawford and Amir. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I'm actually going to. It's going to be my first time in Madison Square Garden. I got really good tickets for cheap, so I thought it was a good idea to, go and just pay $100 to, be in the middle and watch, some world-class boxing. But I think we're kind of Verdejo's career hasn't ended yet, and I think we're just concluding way too early that the guy can't come back. I was never big on him, but we might be wrong about that guy. That guy might, that loss might have given him a good reason to be better. And we don't know what's going to happen with him, and he might surprise people. I won't be the guy to say that a loss will ruin a guy's career. Sometimes a loss is a blessing in disguise, especially for a guy like that thinks he's, the king of the world, like Ryan Garcia thinks he is right now. So, again, we'll wait and see for, what that guy brings. Hopefully the guy comes back because he, as you said, Gabe, the guy, understands what he needs to do. And I think, that's what a lot of these boxers don't understand, that they need to get out there.
With Verdejo, there's two types of hot air balloons. There's the one that the fighter likes to blow up in front of you, like Ryan Garcia, and then there's the one where the media likes to blow up. And I always thought that Verdejo was that one the media was trying to sell you. They were trying to put it in your face that he was going to be something special. I never saw it. I mean, I'm pretty sure Gabriel, remember, when we would talk about it, I would tell you, I don't see it. I'm not high on the game.
I was very much on the record. Steve and I were at odds. I mean, we weren't like arguing about it like we did about Jacob Golovkin, but he really liked Verdejo. He called him the future, and I just was like, it's kind of a cutie. He's kind of looking to not have a fight every fight when it's not going his way. It just didn't look. I don't know. I just wasn't impressed.
Yeah. I think we don't know, like, until the career ends. We don't know if these guys can come back or show a little, something. With this kid, Ryan Garcia, that chin, dude, like leading it, like he almost reminds me of Nassim Hamed when he was just sticking his chin up, like everybody thought they could hit that chin.
Yeah. We had a thing called we used to call it the mistletoe chin. It wants to be kissed. That's the kind of chin he has, man. He just dangles it out there.
Yeah, seriously, you could hang out underneath it. I want to see how he catches, and I really am not a big fan of somebody that's just always like, I'm the greatest and I get paid, and like Muhammad Ali talked a lot, but he had some shit to say. All this stuff, kind of, I know Christina, we had like 30 minutes with her, and I wanted to ask her more stuff, but maybe we'll get more reporters on, because I want to talk about coverage. And does Ryan Garcia, do we need to hear from him post-fight as much? Like, is it about the 24-hour news cycle and how much coverage we do that, like, I don't know. I don't need to hear. It just makes me feel
like him, though. Kids like him, though.
I'm going to tell you something.
Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you something that I don't know if you guys know, but when, back when Canelo was like 16, 17 years old, that he was coming up in Televisa in Mexico, I was living back then and they put every single fight that he had, growing up as a fighter. And much like Ryan Garcia, a lot of the old school, fans or even hardcore fans or older guys would say that he was crap. He was just a media hype job. I was one of them. That back then, I thought, I was like, dude, this guy, I don't know. These guys just want to put them down our throat on, like, however they can. But again, the guy was 16, 17 years old. It was like his 19, 18, 19, 20th fight. The guy was developing. And right now with Garcia is pretty much developing. And we're getting to see every single fight, much like Canelo. And everybody's talking about his development fights as if he was ready for a championship fight. I think the guy still needs like 6, 7, 8 fights to get there where we really know who he is. Right now, I think he's the Canelo that I saw back then in Televisa, and a lot of people are going to criticize him. So I'm not even gonna watch his fights right now because I don't think they're worth watching. And he just talks too much, and I will. He's a 20-year-old kid. How old is
Right. He's 20 years old.
I just turned 40.
Away from 21.
Yeah, I just turned 41 a couple of weeks ago, and I'm just like, dude, I'm like, he's a 22-year-old kid. I don't have to listen to him. When I was 22, I was so full of shit that I can't even stand myself, like remembering myself. So I won't listen to that kid.
I just turned 46. I feel like David and I were talking, and like before I told him what I'd heard, he was describing, how Garcia was like talking about Rolly Romero and like, the whole I make money and I get paid, and I was like, I just turned that shit off. I was like, didn't your parents teach you?
Yeah.
Talking about your money is low class, dude. Like, who cares? Like, I don't need anybody to know about my money, how poor or rich I am. Like, I just kind of like keep that shit to myself. Like, show me your performance, and when your opponent's not moving up in weight, and he's near your age, and he's not coming off a loss. Like, when it's not certain if you're gonna win and you win, then I'll listen to you brag. But for now, save that shit for Instagram. I ain't got the time.
We can see how insecure the kid is, like, because if you're talking about that only shows you how immature you are, how insecure you are, and what you lack, and what your IQ is. And again, these guys, you can see, like, a guy like Spence, you can see how he carries himself. He's a gentleman. He's like, you can see the difference in education in that guy.
I don't know about that. He's been getting drunk on interviews, though. He's been getting drunk, being caught, Here's the thing.
That's the nature of the news cycle.
They're kids still. They're still kids. They're getting a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of money. And like anybody that didn't grow up with money, there's a process of development of learning how to behave with a lot of money. Especially with kids in boxing that they're coming from an area that is very poor and poverty, that when they get this money and what they're seeing right now and what I see, having raising teenagers to men now, I see a lot of young kids that think that's like, swinging the how much dollar amount you have is being a man, and it's because of, in my opinion, and, anybody can talk to me about it. I can argue about it because I've raised boys. My opinion is the lack of parenting. When you don't teach your kids, how to behave and how to respond and how to act and really give them the value of that count. Kids they're gonna learn from what they see, and they're learning from YouTube, Instagram. You got like this Carly B girl that's on that little girls are looking up to, the way she talks. You see young women speaking like that. You see young women acting like that. Now you see young men believing that acting like a thug is a respectable profession. It isn't. You look like fools.
That pretty much brings brings me to the last point. What you're saying right now, what happened with this idiot Pulev? You don't do that. You just by education, like ethics. You don't do that. No matter what kind of girl she is, what she did later or before, you just don't do that. You're a man. You have to respect women, and that's
absolutely.
That's it. I don't care the circumstances or if she took a picture later with him. I don't care. Whoever's saying that.
And he's a married man.
He's
a married man.
Yeah, they're justifying. Yeah. Anybody who's defending that in any way or saying that what she did later, they're just justifying their own behavior that they probably do all the time.
Right.
So to me, it's not the Me Too movement. It's just being a gentleman, being a man, and respecting other people.
There you go.
No matter if it's a woman, a man, or whoever.
Exactly. It's sort of like when people say political correctness, I'm like, you mean treating with people with respect? Like, I think there's a limit. And I can understand how some people, like Dave and I were talking about it today, and I'm like kind of explaining how things are here in San Francisco, which is in terms of culture, it's culturally liberal. I would say structurally, in terms of how the city is run, I would not say it's liberal at all. Like maybe in some respects how we deal with the homeless is getting better, but like, that's my bit on that. But what you're talking about is absolutely true. It's universal. Don't grab somebody by the face and kiss them, especially if you're a married man, especially if they're trying to do their job. But just don't do it in general. If a lot of the guys defending it too. It's like, well, what if it was a gay boxer, and you're wearing an outfit that you look kind of good in? You're wearing like a 2-piece suit, 3-piece suit with like the pocket square and everything, and you've worn the cologne, and you think you're feeling kind of manly. And there's a gay boxer. Maybe 20-25% of the population is gay. So it's possible. It's probably more possible than you realize. Conservative in the boxing people. What if he reaches across the way and kisses a male reporter at the end of the thing? Even if that male reporter is hanging out and partying, as male reporters I've known are wont to do, hanging out at the bar and kind of mixing with the boxing people and longing for the days when that was cool. It's cool for men to do it, but like Dave and I were also talking, like when this happened, people looked at this reporter. I didn't know who she was. But you look at her Instagram and there's bikini shots or whatever. I didn't do that. I'm a married man. I'm trying not to do that. Look at other women in bikinis. But what's the difference in that? Like people are saying that she's using her body or her sexuality to get ahead. What's the difference between that and a male reporter doing a heavy bag video or they're working the pads with their trainer and they put that up and they're using their physicality to get some sort of street cred as a boxing reporter?
Yeah. No, there's
not really, right?
Well, no.
Except one's like more appealing to you or I than the other one is.
Yeah, no, definitely. And in the end, listening to people justify it and defend it, to me it's just them being hypocrites and pretty much trying to justify what they've done in the past and what they're willing to do because they want to be a man, Again, I just thought it was disgusting and really didn't pay attention to it until everybody started talking about it, and I was like, really? God, this is just too much. But again, to the sport, I'm looking forward to going to Madison Square Garden in a couple of weeks or 3 weeks. Never been there, and I'm looking forward to Canelo Jacobs. So I think that's going to be a pretty interesting fight too. That's all I got, guys. Thank you very much for your time, and
we'll break it down that week. I'll bug you that week, but yeah, man. Thanks for calling in and catching up.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Great show, bye.
I'm gonna see 787 has been on the longest. Our man on the island.
What's up?
What's up? How you doing?
Good. Hey, yo, Dave, that wall you got of the posters and the mags is looking real nice.
Oh, thank you, man. I got what's crazy is I still have I want to say over 400 magazines, and they're all spread out on my floor. That's why, yeah. And then, like a pendejo, I went and bought another 14 magazines, but these ones are actually some real vintage stuff, man. It's like from 1958, I want to say, to 1963. So Gene Fuller to Dick Tiger, to Floyd Patterson. I mean, a lot of good reads in there and some good stuff. But I don't think I'm gonna put those on the wall. I think what I want to do is keep it, because I'm gonna build a desk, not like a desk. It's like a barred table where people could sit at, and then in between it, I want to have like a thing where you could, like a latch you can open up, and I want to have those magazines in there so if somebody wants to read them,
Yeah, that would be sick.
Yeah, man. But yeah, man, no.
Or an open
coming
bar?
out nice. Huh? What happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an open bar? Yeah, that would be sick too.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, man. But how you been, man? So what'd you think about this past weekend fights?
I mean, I kind of just kept up with the Ryan versus Garcia fight. I really don't know why. I really don't know why, but I've never turned off a post-fight interview faster in my life. Like, that was so cringe. That made me feel so bad. Like, I was like, he gets the mic. He gets the mic. He's between Oscar and Canelo, and I'm like, all right, so he's obviously going to call somebody out. Let me get a drink. So I'm hearing it from across the house, and I hear the moment I heard Money Team, I immediately ran back to my room and cut that off. Like, I was like, this guy's not about to bring up Floyd Mayweather standing between two men Floyd beaten. Please stop.
First he parties with them.
That's horrible.
First he goes and celebrates Floyd's birthday, parties with them, and then he calls. I'm not scared of you. Well, obviously you're not, dude. You're at his birthday party.
he says it. He says it implying like he's gonna fight Floyd someday. Like, when
oh my God.
Like, what are we gonna do?
But
like,
it goes back to when Oscar was a fighter. Like, you bring up Winky Wright, you bring up whoever the boogeyman is, and maybe you fight him, maybe you don't. In Oscar's case, more often than not, he fought him, but you link to somebody else's shine, and it's you can't say he doesn't know how to market himself. He's doing it all right. I just hope he can punch as well as he can deliver a verbal jab.
I think he wants to fight these guys, though, Gabriel. Guys, I honestly think he wants. I don't get that sense that he's like using it as a marketing tool to keep his name out there. I really truly believe he thinks he could beat these guys. It really falls on the lap of the Golden Boys team to kind of like, hey, slow down a bit. Let us continue building that process, because the hard part is done, in my opinion, in terms of getting them out there and getting a fan base. It's done. But now we gotta get them in where it really counts, which is to get the hardcore boxing fans on that bandwagon.
I want to see him in a fight longer than an Instagram moment.
Yeah.
Like that. That's what I was gonna bring up. Like, I think he did most of the marketing himself on Instagram. I feel like he's more of an Instagram star than he is like a known boxer. And any fame he gets in boxing, it's always going to be followed up by the shadow of Instagram. And
that's interesting, because
to the point where.
Well, it's like, I'll just let me jump in really quick. It's like they took Canelo off of Mexican TV because he was like this, phenomenon at 18 on there. Can they take this Mexican American from YouTube and do the same thing?
I mean, like, my problem is that when you see the way he fights, and it's almost like he's talented. Yes, he has decent power. He has very good hand speed, but it's just like his build. He's young, has chicken legs. Like, first of all, he doesn't look like he's ever did a leg day in his life.
He looks like he's filling out, though, up top, though, doesn't he?
He is filling out.
Yeah, he's definitely putting on muscle up there.
He looks
but,
strong this time.
It's just like, to me, what I'm looking at is like, I see him fight, and he has some pretty shots. Like, he has a decent left hook, a nice uppercut, but he's missing the things in between what's going to get him those shots.
Yeah.
And he's wild. Like, he's so wild when he gets somebody hurt. It's
and, dude,
alarming.
like Jermaine Taylor probably thinks that this kid likes to back up and go to the ropes on his own way too much. Like, what is that about? Like, why are you going to the ropes? You're gigantic. Why are you backing straight up to the ropes? And then, like, just getting into your guard and let the other...
Jose Benavidez Jr. too was thinking that, like, damn, this guy's going to the ropes a lot.
Man, like,
what's going on with him?
I was just, I think like the perfect video for this kid to watch. Like, I think he tries to emulate Oscar a little too much.
Bro.
I mean, Oscar has a boxing background to back it up. Like, Oscar could get away with what he's doing because Oscar had an iron chin. His chin was granite back in the day. But, like, he's not going to get away with that stuff just because the experience for that style. Like, I would suggest he looks at a lot more Alexis Arguello type fights. I think that's more suitable for him because right now it just, I don't see him beating out, like, even like journeymen, like really solid journeymen or gatekeepers. I don't see him beating any gatekeepers in that division right now.
No.
So, like, I don't know what they're going to do with him because now, like, it's kind of like you're on a train and they just threw a lot of fire into this locomotive, and you can't take pit stops now. Now you just got to go wherever this thing takes you, and it's going to take him right into a fight.
I think
he's not
in the past, like with Canelo, they were getting a lot of flack for not putting Canelo up right away with guys that were in the same weight division. You know, remember they were getting the little guys, Matthew Hatton, Josecito, to jump up and, you know, to face him. I think Golden Boy, they're used to taking jabs of how that potentially be something very special. Gabriel, real quick, Sal from Boxing Guru said, I guess I'm never going to put on I guess I can't post any shirts of myself shirtless anymore. Thanks. No, you're an exception, Sal.
Sal hasn't been using his body to get ahead in the industry. He has been using his tailgate abilities, however, and I think that's unfair.
I have to argue about that.
Taking over the parking lot for him.
That's another hour into the show, but I'm going to have to argue about that. I think I think Sal has used his body to get where he's at, man.
I think you're using your boxing magazines to get ahead of this industry, and I resent it. And you have a garage.
Yo, guys, real quick, by the way, about the Pulev situation, has anybody been asking themselves if Pulev is all there mentally after all the fights he's had?
Yeah, I mean, impulse control is a thing, you know, that's the frontal lobe, right? And that's what happens with boxers, like with CTE, impulse control goes out the window. And, I'm not the guy that's going to be well, look what she was wearing. But maybe, Dave and I have gotten to, a really long conversation about it today, 30 minutes or so. And what I've realized in the conversation is how little I knew about the timeline. That video that's put out of her, sitting on somebody's lap, they called it a lap dance. To me, it looked like she was kind of sitting, kind of controlling a dude's hands whose lap she was sitting on. I've just never been a woman, so I feel like I can't really fully comment on it. And I also didn't, I talked to Christina. I didn't want her to make her speak for every female reporter in the world. I wanted her to talk about herself, And I didn't ask Joe what it's like to be a man in boxing when we had him on 2 weeks ago. So you try to keep it fair, I don't know. There's a lot there. But the bottom line is you don't reach over and kiss somebody when you're a married man. Especially when you're married.
I just looked at Pulev, and after watching that video, I just thought about all the wars he's been in and all the damage he's taken, and I was like, this has to be some type of result of that.
Sure.
It was so spontaneous and random, and things that might happen, and it just kind of
there's a lot of
was really random.
It was random.
It was random, and my take. Look, my take, and I don't want to get too much into it because the fact is I don't know all the facts. I'm how I'm looking at it. There's a lot more to what happened there than we actually even know about. I think it's very easy for us to attack Pulev, and I think it's very easy for us to attack the young lady that received the kiss and now is suing. It's really easy, but at the end of the day, none of us were there, and I don't think all the facts have been drawn out, and I think that's what we have to really just kind of do is sit back and see exactly what was that situation, what really did happen, so.
And to what Christina was talking about, I did 6 years there. I pulled out after 6 years, and I was 8 years in with boxing at that point as a reporter going to fights and
good
the whole
thing you pulled out. We don't want you to end up like Ryan Garcia.
We don't want more of me. We don't want me to breathe. Wow. I'm glad you said that and not me.
Oh
I am
my
cast.
God.
But
oh my God.
Wow. It could have been any number of situations, Dave.
Yeah.
Not fair. You can't just blame him.
Right.
Hashtag you. I totally forgot what I was saying.
I know. I was going to say.
No, but that, it's hard down there, and trying to define your we're talking. I was way out on a limb and trying not to offend her. It was Christina shows up nice to work, but it's not completely displaying. I'm also I'm a female. but expressing yourself as females are allowed to, like a little bit more than males are fashion-wise in the workplace. With T-shirt and jeans guy, a sports reporter or a golf shirt or a Hawaiian shirt. There's a lot of schlubs, and I would put myself in that. I was like a T-shirt and jeans guy for the most part, or a badly fitting suit at some point on the beat. It's hard. And so, like, that girl, I'm not going to fault her for whatever her shtick was. Like, I was kind of thinking, is the big glasses in her outfit like a shtick? And regardless, whatever it is, it doesn't allow for the dude to just reach over and kiss her. But on this, it's like the boxing view. It's a new segment, Dave.
I know, man. All right, Rob,
yeah,
man. We'll definitely catch up next week, bro. Let's pass in
Rob
another
from
fight.
Puerto Rico, the Megan McCain of the boxing view. 510, you're live on the Leaving the Ring.
Hey, Dave.
You don't watch
Dave, Fernando Richmond.
What's up, Fernando?
Hello. Hey, how you guys doing? Good, man. I really enjoyed that interview with Crystina Poncher. I'm a big fan of hers. Poncher. I'm a big fan of hers and Bomac when they do the undercards, And when I first heard her, right, like it kind of threw me off on a female do boxing, right? But she kind of won me over, man. She's really knowledgeable and she does a really good job, man. So I'm a real big fan of her and Bomac.
I don't want to put her on the spot, but I think that ESPN Plus mixes her better than they used to. Her voice, like, better than they used to on the top-ranked undercard. Her volume was a little for my taste because she has a lower voice, like a lower register for a woman. And ESPN bumped her up, like, just right. I was, like, listening to her, like Dave and I both were going back over the tape just to hear her and stuff. And yeah, she does a really good job. And I think all that preparation, like in learning how to, like, write down a few facts about each person so you can ask them 3 or 4 questions. It helps you do the blow-by-blow where you can also throw in information. I liked her and Chris Algieri. I think he goes a little too fast. Like, he could slow down a little bit. He has a lot of good information to give, and they seem to, they'll probably gel after a while. But it's more like technical. They're not getting into some, like, historical debate about who they're watching. They're just, like, calling the fight and talking about what they think,
Negative to say about or feelings towards him, but he just has a little bit of Malinaji in him. He has a little bit of Malinaji in him, He has a little bit of that nasal East Coast, quick talking, like you said. So he's got a little bit of Malinaji. I kind of don't care for that style. So
if he slowed down, it would be better. Yeah, and I think it would help that because it is a little bit of Malinaji. It's not as annoying, but he's also sparring. And I noticed this with Paulie. When you're nasal, so if you already have a nasal voice, it's even worse. And since Paulie's kind of had stopped fighting, like, I noticed his voice kind of dropped a little bit, and he wasn't as nasally. He's still just as annoying to me as ever, though.
So I've been listening to the whole show, and I was listening on the comments for, like, Ryan Garcia, right? And I agree with some of them, but me personally, right, like the last time I saw him, I remember I called in when his last fight was, like, on Facebook Live a few months ago. I didn't even care about him. I was like, there's nothing. He just looked kind of wild and nothing impressive, right? To be honest, man, I was really impressed with him on Saturday. I see a lot of talent, man. And let me ask you guys a question, all right? Jaime Munguia, I'm a huge fan of his too, right? But who has the better path for championships and being a top tier fighter in the next 3 years, Munguia or Garcia?
I don't know how well. I know that I'm not high on Jaime Munguia having longevity in his career. I think he's a knockout waiting to happen.
Yeah, I think so too. Somebody hit me up on the Leaving the Ring Gmail, and they were like, who do you think is the better fighter, Angulo or Munguia? And I was like, Angulo, by far. Was a far better fighter. If you want to make comparisons, I think Angulo in his prime stops and beats Jaime Munguia right now at the point of his career. Munguia still has a lot of work. He's a work in progress. He's another guy. If you look at Ryan Garcia and you say, like, this kid is built. He's already Instagram famous. Munguia is starting to get that same train that's starting to roll down that hill pretty fast in terms of catching the imagination of fans and stuff, but at his skill level, it's got to catch up as well because, man, he gets hit a lot.
To be honest, I don't think it's his skill level, it is his skill level, but I don't think it's his talent level. I honestly think that Robert Alcazar is just a really bad fit for him, man. I think you guys touched on it earlier, right? We're trying to teach him to be more of a defensive fighter,
Yeah.
And if you watch the last fight he had against the Asian guy, I mean, you can just tell he doesn't fit his style, man, his tempo, man. Like you said, he'd be better off with the Margarito style, And that's why that's where my question came from, right? 3 years from now, is Alcazar really going to make him a better fighter? I don't think so, man. I really don't. Whereas with Ryan, he's got a great team around him, man. He's got the Chepo Reynoso and Canelo working with him, right? So that's why I think he's more set up for success the next couple of years than Munguia is. And I hope Munguia turns out to be great because I do think he has a lot of talent, man. Big punch, aggressive, But it's just I think Alcazar is just the wrong trainer for him.
Shitty
man.
defense.
I don't think that's a good fit.
That's shitty defense.
They have the recipe. Listen, they have the recipe to have the potential that we want, right? But it goes back to fans and the people that pay to go watch them. They're going to start asking questions. That's who you have to please, in terms of the eye. Ryan Garcia, they're talking about getting him a title this year. That might backfire on him. There's ways of playing out and developing a fighter. It is to slowly get him there. Robert Alcazar, could he make him a better fighter in 2-3 years? Yeah, he could, but not with the potential fights Munguia is going to be fighting. If he gets this win, he's got a potential
Triple
fight
G.
with Triple G. But there's another fighter too, another 154 guy.
Well, there's Tony Harrison's going to be, settling his business with Jamal Charlo in their rematch. But the WBA and IBF is Jarrett Hurd, who's also in the PBC universe.
There you go, right?
But Munguia is fighting Dennis Hogan in his next fight, which is his mandatory over with the WBO. And it's the right kind of fight. It's that thing of when is a belt a shield? When you have a guy that's kind of green. And you can get him a title, and then
exactly.
Then it's kind of like, then you're just kind of like funneling your opponents, and you're taking that, you'll take that soft defense if you can in a fight after that, or a developmental fight after Dennis. We might not see a Munguia in a tough one in a while.
And you know what? And this is not unheard of, man. I mean, I think that's what fans got to remember, that this has always been part of boxing. When you see a guy have a title and he can hold on to that title as long as it wants and takes on mandatories and avoid the number one contender or the guy that he should face. This is not a new way of running the sport. Like I said, I picked up these old magazines, and if you read Gene Fuller, he avoided certain champions. He decided to take on his mandatories, and he continued to do it for like 2 to 3 years before they felt like, okay, he's ready to take on guys. The only difference was he was fighting every 2 to 3 months to speed up the development. Where we're watching fighters now, they're taking, they're fighting once every 4 to 6 months, and it's a little tougher to implicate whatever development you're trying to teach them. That's a hard process, to do, because you got to see whether or not it works. And like Joe Gusu, who we had on, like he said, you got to see if the guy could take a hit. Got to see if he could take a punch. So there's a lot of variables when it comes to developing a guy. I just know that we become restless when you have a title and you're not fighting the fights that us thirsty goons want, But to say that he can't get there, I say you can, because they do have the certain tools to get there. I see Jaime Munguia does have that aggressive style that you were mentioning a little earlier, Fernando, and coming in forward, a little bit of head movement can go a long way, but we don't know yet. I don't know yet, even with Ryan Garcia. It's very difficult to say whether or not they're going to get there, because sometimes the fighters too can press to be somewhere they think they should be at already, a la Fernando Vargas. he wanted Tito Trinidad. He didn't want to listen to his handlers. He said, "No, I'm ready." And look what happened to him. If he didn't face Tito at that year and that time, I think that he would have had a much longer, longevity of career than he had when facing Tito Trinidad. So it's one of those, man.
Well, one good thing, right? Like now, Crystina mentioned during her interviews, there's so many more dates, right? That now those dates are a good thing because now you got more availability to fight, right? Like Ryan Garcia, he could fight again in a month from now. He worked a little more. And Munguia, he's been super busy ever since. He's been super busy too. He's going to fight again this month. The only bad part is right now.
Yeah. Well, he's going to fight on the May 4th card.
Yeah, and Munguia just fought a couple months ago. He's going to fight again in a couple weeks. So that's great. The only bad part is
right?
the fact. Yeah, 2 weeks, I think. And
April 13th.
The only bad part
is
I think the only bad part is now the fans are like, I got ESPN Plus. Now like a lot, not me, right? But a lot of fans have expectations. When you on TV, they're going to be tough, right? Every time, but you got to still prospect, man. They should, you should be working on little things here and there, But us as fans should have tips with these guys too, man. Develop, and they got a lot of talent, man. So I like to see where it goes, man. We can't be dumping on these guys like on Ryan or Jaime after every fight. You know what I mean? Like it's not fair. It's not right, man. Because they're young, man. Jaime is like 22. And Ryan's 20, So us as fans got to be patient, and we can't just dump on them, after every little developmental fight they go through, I see a lot of talent in both those guys, and I think, and hopefully they go in the right direction, and we'll see where they go, man. So,
it's a double-edged sword in boxing. You know what I mean? It's a double-edged sword of boxing. You either a fan and you hate to see a guy develop and it's taking too long, or you see a guy that he's way over-skilled, and then he's just facing guys that he's going to outbox. We see that on both sides of the fence. A guy that has the potential to be something special, but he's taking forever. And then you got a guy that has that potential already, but he's facing guys that none of us want to see because there's too much money involved. There's too much risk if he does fight another prime fighter. It's a double-edged sword with this sport. It's very difficult to have a Super Bowl in the sport of boxing. And when we do have a Super Bowl, that's when we're all excited. But notice this. Every Super Bowl we've ever had in boxing has very, very little has it ever satisfied our need, our fix that we want from it. It only comes once in a great while. I think the last Super Bowl that I love, but it wasn't on pay-per-view, and I think everybody agrees about this, was Diego Corrales and Jose Castillo. When they fought, a lot of people overlooked it. Look what we got. It was special.
Well, that was my personal Super Bowl, man. I was a Max Boxing member back then, and I went to the fight, man, because I was so hyped for it. Castillo had been destroying people for like a good year and a half, man. Yeah. Corrales had come out of prison a couple of years before, and he was destroying everybody too, man. Freitas, a really good fight with Casamayor. That was super hype, man. I went to that fight, man. That was my super fight, man. And anyways, thank you for taking my phone call. I appreciate it. I know you guys got to keep online, man. Thank you.
All right, bro. Thank you. Fight fans, you want to call in, you certainly can. 347-215-7598. Come on through. Take a bite of boxing here on Leaving the Ring.
209. You're live on Leave It in the Ring.
Guys, how you doing? Troy from Stockton.
Hey, what's up, Troy?
Hey, first of all, about the fights this weekend, I don't know if I should talk about the ESPN card, the main card, because that pulled up. I don't know what happened to him. Leg injury, cramp, or I don't know what happened to him. And the green machine, well, I wasn't really.
He looked very green. He looked very green. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
you know what, though? Everybody was talking about. You know what's crazy, though? Everybody was talking about his performance that night, Saturday night. But what about his last fight? He didn't look that good either.
No,
so
he didn't.
Why was everybody expecting that we were going to see this new and rejuvenated, improved guy? Sorry, the last performance showed us how limited the green machine was. He goes in there, I'm watching him, and I go, this guy looks really green in the ring. Why are we
Yeah.
why do we still believe there's potential of him being a force against Terrence Crawford? I tell you what, Crawford and his team are probably liking it because he's not much of a threat. He's a fight. He's a fight that to keep busy on. So not much surprise for me, man. In my end, when I saw the Green Machine, not much of a machine, very green, yes. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to take more time to build him up. I mean, I saw him in Fresno when he became the main fight when that guy Jose Ramirez was going to fight. Didn't make weight. I saw him over there, and I was like, wow, I was expecting a lot more. But the fights on the zone, the Ryan Garcia fight, I was looking at him fight. I was trying to see what kind of changes that he made on his defense. What kind of, since he's trained with Canelo and with Team Canelo. And this whole time we're watching the fight, my girlfriend is telling me about his YouTube page. She's chatting away about his YouTube page, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Watch the fight. but yeah. Hey, what can you say? He brings a different audience. And
he does. He does.
Cocky at the end. I get it. What is he, a 14-time national champion? I mean, I can't do that. A lot of other people can't do that. So I get the confidence that he has in his craft, borderline cocky. But this day and age, man, all these young kids, their mentality is different. It's everything's being put on blast on social media. Do I follow him?
You follow
yes,
him.
I follow. Dude, like 300 million people follow him. After follow him, man. Yeah, but I don't follow him on actually, I follow him on Twitter because it's funny. It's funny, man. People give him a hard time. I mean,
really?
But I guess, yeah, I guess all that's expected when you're like super popular, when you have 3 million, 4 million people following you. I guess it comes with the territory.
It does.
But
it does, man.
Yeah, it definitely does. But I think what Canelo said in that post interview pretty much hit the nail on the head. This kid needs to focus on boxing.
Yep.
And that it up. And I'm sure his team will make the necessary changes.
I think they have. I mean, look, they got him Chepo in Canelo's team to work with them. That was a great move. Okay, it made sense. I've always, you can't argue that Roberto Diaz is not a good matchmaker. He knows what he's doing. He's been in this business for quite some time. He's worked with Canelo. The process has been there. I can't judge what the team is doing off of what Ryan Garcia is saying, because at the end of the day, we know a lot of these young kids that have a lot of money, they're not making those decisions. Oscar De La Hoya is a perfect example. The guy, was a gold medalist, had a big fight contract deal, got signed with these two guys that were managers. One guy was a dealership owner, and was super popular and brought that draw, but didn't know how to handle his money. So that that's what we're kind of seeing. I'm not saying that Golden Boy's doing that; it's stealing from the kid. But I'm saying what we're seeing is this new genre of kids now, millenniums, that everything's about money.
And they're putting all their business on social media. They're putting all their business on social media, man.
Oh, millennials, Dave.
Lineal. My bad. My bad. You see what I'm saying? Dude. I mean, he's
7 years old, so it's okay.
I don't even know what am I? An X? Am I an X generation? What are you? What are you, Gabriel?
Yeah, we're Gen X, Dave. We're Gen X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry. The co-main event on the zone. What was that guy's name? Acosta.
You mean Augustus?
Yeah,
Hopkins?
Yeah.
Augustus.
Wow.
That was a good fight. That was a good fight.
It was a good fight.
Yeah, that was probably the one of the better fights of the night. I mean that's only the only two fights I get to saw on the zone card, but that was good.
No, there was a lot of action.
A lot of back and forth action. And you know what? That's another thing I want to say about these Golden Boy cards. And it's funny that you bring up Roberto Diaz. The Golden Boy cards on the zone have been great, have been pretty good. A lot of action. I mean, back and forth. I mean, yeah, they have their prospects that they're developing, but for the most part, I mean, they've been pretty good action. I mean, I actually look forward to the Golden Boy cards on the zone.
I like the developmental stuff. I don't mind that stuff. I've kind of like initially I'm always bothered by like the bringing in the professional loser, kind of part of the thing. But at the same time, I do like seeing the guys, develop. I like to see careers at their beginning.
It's a path that you're seeing. Them going on a certain path. You've seen the progress that they're making. I myself like watching the prospects. That's why I like ESPN Plus. That's why I like the Zone. They're giving me the prospects. And before that, that's why I used to like seeing the Ring TV Live shows. Because you're seeing a path where these kids are taking. You've seen the progress that they're making. That way, when it comes to the point where they're already on the big stage, you already know their history. You already seen their journey. I mean, one of the problems I have with the PBC, and it's maybe part of it. Right now, they're doing semi-decent, but in the past, their matchups suck. But not only that, they'll bring in a guy. They'll have their superstar against a guy, and I'm like, who the hell is he? The guy has a record of 30-0, and I've never heard of him before. So that's what I like about Golden Boy. That's what I like about Top Rank. They're giving you these prospects. That way, when they're at that level, you already seen their journey. You already know them. They're already a household name. You're not guessing who he is or what he does.
You made me just think right now. Let me ask you guys this, and I'm not bashing on PBC because I think they are doing a hell of a job now by the development of their welterweights, and even with Deontay Wilder. But what prospects can you think of right now that stand out in the PBC world that makes you go like, oh man, this is a prospect that's coming up? Whereas Golden Boy and Top Rank have been doing.
Well, you know what? I don't really know too much about the prospects in the PBC. I'll be honest with you.
That's the answer. Yeah. I think that's the answer right there. I don't either. I don't really know. I'd have to go back and kind of look. When we talk about Golden Boy and Top Rank, I mean there's hit and miss in anything when you develop fighters. I'm still hopeful with PBC though. I think that it was even though Al's been around advising promotional wise as a company was still a baby in terms of doing it. They jumped in there with a big fund, and I think it's a learning process. Even Golden Boy, when they decided to become a full-fledged promotional company, it took them a while. It really took them a while to kind of get the niche going of how to develop fighters, how to get other TV deals and networks to take them on and do other things. So, to me, it's just everything is just a process, man, and we just got to sit back and enjoy it and watch it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And that's pretty much what I'll probably start doing now is get to know more about the PBC. I'll try.
They need to come up with a series in order to make that happen for you. But we're up against it, Troy. But thanks for calling in, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, guys. All right, bye-bye.
All right, man. Peace.
I think what it comes down to it for everyone is that we're right now in a time where all the fights are at the tip of your fingers, and you can watch everything as much as on demand that you can digest, and we're in this time of gimme. I don't want to wait. And I think as fight fans, we're so spoiled now. I mean, we're really spoiled at this moment that we need to take a step back and remember that there is a process in building superstars. It just doesn't happen overnight. You don't get the Triple G's overnight. You don't get the Manny Pacquiao's overnight, the Oscar De La Hoyas overnight, the Mike Tysons overnight, the Carvajal's, Ricky Hattons, Sergio Martinez, and the list goes on. You don't get them overnight. It takes time. And as a fight fan for myself, I want to enjoy the time that we're getting because, like our last caller right here, Troy called in. Golden Boy's card was really good. I got to see Aaron McKinnon. I got to see other guys that I wouldn't have seen because they wouldn't have televised it. So, and we got to see Ryan Garcia just get a bit better on his fight. But anyways, everybody for tuning in, thank you, man. I had a great time here on Leaving the Ring. As always, with my partner, Mr. Gabriel Montoya. Can't wait to be back on the air on Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific. Gabriel, any final words there, my friend? Oh, happy birthday, man. Forgot. That's right. Happy birthday, Mr. Montoya.
Yeah, 46. I can't think of anything that I want to say that rhymes with that. But
46 on 1 more 6. There you go.
I'll just leave that alone. But
it rhymed. That's all I know.
It was a good weekend, man. I have to say it was epic. But I'm still like, it's that thing. The older you get, it's not the day after you party; it's the day after you party. That gets you. I'm just
there's that old saying that after 40 you start feeling everything.
Yeah, everything in the 30s was like warning shots, and then like the 40s is like it landing,
Yep.
So, yeah, no, it's good. But another good show. I really enjoyed that interview with Crystina, and we'll see what we do next week. But until then, there's not a lot of fights this weekend. Not a lot to really break down. You've got Showtime. I think a DAZN card. Showtime has a little showbox action, super bantamweight, super featherweights in action, and out of the UAE, you've got some super flyweights on DAZN. So enjoy that, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
There you go. Remember, people, don't drink and drive because you will spill your beer.
Have you heard about Moo Money?
Moo Money?
Moo Money is a rewards program that lets you earn cash every time you buy real milk. I use mine to buy movie tickets.
Movie. Yeah, I see what you did there. Yeah.
It was a musical.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, just head to moomoney.com to start earning moolah.
Got it. Moolah.
Hurry, or everything I told you will be moot.
Oh, please, no more moos.
Someone's a little moody.
Open to legal residents of the state of California, 18 years of age or older. Visit moomoney.com for official rules, terms, and conditions.
They always told Will he was too short to play basketball, but Will never listened. Will let his work ethic do the talking for him. Always in the gym, always running drills. Will knew where there was a will, there was a way, and he was Will. But then, after his second child was born, he realized the pros were all way better than him. So Will gave up and buried his high tops in a tearful ceremony. But one day, he heard that Geico could save him money on car insurance, so he switched and saved a bunch, which was awesome.